Welcome back to the Combat Chain. I'm Patrick Shaw, and today we're going to look at the Classic Battles sealed product that was just released. And specifically, today we're going to talk about Dorinthea, the new card she got, and their impact in her builds and constructed. Stick around. All right, first up we have, of course, the hero that came in the Classic Battles product itself, Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy. This is a new young hero Dorinthea card. She is a 4 intellect, 20 life young hero, and her hero ability says the first time Dawnblade Resplendent gains go again each turn, you may attack an additional time with it this turn. So we can't talk about Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy without bringing up that named weapon on her hero ability, Dawnblade Resplendent. So let's take a look. Dawnblade Resplendent is a 2-power attack weapon. It says once per turn action, pay 1 resource, attack. The second time you attack with Dawnblade each turn, it gains +1 attack until end of turn. So just looking at these two cards here, you can begin to see an archetype giving the Dawnblade Resplendent go again. Allows it to attack an additional time. It does not need to hit. So you're going to be building a deck with lots of giving the weapon go again and hitting and swinging the weapon twice. Now on top of the new hero and the new weapon, there is one piece of new equipment for Dorinthea. And of course that is Blossom of Spring. It is a generic equipment, but you may have seen this around already. Action, destroy Blossom of Spring, gain 1 resource, go again. This deck does come with other pieces of equipment, but let's just look at them real quick. Iron Wrought Helm, Iron Wrought Legs, Gallantry Gold. All 3 of these are uniquely numbered for the Classic Battles, and they are in rainbow foil along with the Blossom of Spring. The Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy and Dawnblade Resplendent are in cold foil. All right, let's take a look at the new cards that appear in the Dorinthea deck. Blade Flash is a blue 1-cost generic attack reaction that states target sword attack gains go again, and it blocks for 2. Run Through, yellow 1-cost warrior attack reaction. Target sword attack gains go again. Your next sword attack this turn gains +2. Glistening Steel Blade, yellow 1-cost majestic warrior action. Dorinthea specialization. Your next Dawnblade attack this turn has go again. Whenever Dawnblade hits a hero this turn, put a +1 attack counter on it. On a Knife Edge, yellow 0-cost generic action. Your next sword attack this turn gains go again, go again. Hala Golden Helm, warrior mentor. You may only have 1 Hala in your deck if your hero is young. While Hala is face down in Arsenal at the start of your turn, you may turn her face up. While Hala is face up in Arsenal, whenever a sword attack you control hits, it gains go again, and put a lesson counter on Hala. Then, if there are 2 or more lesson counters on Hala, banish her, search your deck for Glistening Steel Blade, put it face up in Arsenal, and shuffle. Blocks 3. All right, let's start this off by talking about the juiciest card first, the one everyone was clamoring for when it was leaked, and now it's here, Glistening Steel Blade. Dorinthea specialization, so it can be played in Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy and Dorinthea Young and Old Dorinthea Iron Song. Your next Dawnblade attack this turn has go again. Whenever Dawnblade hits a hero this turn, put a +1 counter on it. Important thing to note here, it is Dorinthea specialization, so Dorinthea Iron Song can use it as well as Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy and Young Dorinthea, and it is referencing Dawnblade, and now we even have 2 Dawnblades, a Dawnblade here and Dawnblade Resplendent in the new product. Glistening Steel Blade can affect both of them. Now when you're looking at Glistening Steel Blade in terms of building the new Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy, you can see that by playing this card, it gives Dawnblade Resplendent go again, which in turn activates Dorinthea's hero ability and allows the Dawnblade Resplendent to attack twice. You are not required to hit in order to attack a second time. We'll get into how that affects your deck building strategy a little later. Moving along, let's look at Run Through. Run Through is the yellow 1-cost warrior attack reaction. Target sword attack gains go again. Your next sword attack this turn gains +2. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, that sounds awfully familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Well, you may have opened up a pack of Everfest and found yourself a Blade Runner. The difference between Blade Runner and Run Through, of course, is Blade Runner is referring to one-handed weapons, but it is functionally the same card otherwise. On a Knife Edge, yellow 0-cost non-attack action, your next sword attack this turn gains go again. Much like Blade Flash, this is a generic non-attack action. We read Hala out loud. I won't recap the entire thing here, but the crux of it is while you have Hala out, if you hit with the Dawnblade, it gains go again. A theme here with the cards added, the new cards in the new Dorinthea Classic Battles deck here, giving a sword go again. All right, now let's take a look at what a sample Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy Blitz deck might look like. This is an early draft I have. If you'd like to see a slightly different variation by a real expert at Warrior, I do recommend that you go see my friend Ziggy on Twitter at IamTheFireTCG. He just recently put an illustrated infographic deck tech out on the new Dorinthea, and it's really fun to look at. He has a really great artistic style when it comes to this stuff, and I can't recommend his work enough, so go check him out. All right, the first thing that you'll notice here in the Dorinthea Quicksilver deck is a whole lot of actions and not a lot of attack reactions. If you do a count here, you'll see that there are only 10 attack reactions in the deck. Because the Dawnblade itself doesn't have a lot of on-hit payoff, we're caring less about surprising someone with an on-hit with damage leaking through. We are more concerned with raw damage over time. So what we have here are a lot of things that give it go again, unconditionally, and actions that buff the Dawnblade's attacks on both the first and second swing. So let's take a look at some of what we have here. First, we'll quickly break down our equipment. It is pretty stock with one highlight that might be something you're not used to seeing in Dorinthea builds. So you do have your Courage Blade Hold, your Braveforge Bracers, your Arcanite Skullcap. We also main Valiant Dynamo. As we said, it's very easy to give the Dawnblade go again here, so you're consistently going to be attacking twice, which means Valiant Dynamo will be the ideal choice for your leg equipment here, as opposed to Refraction Bolters, which is in the package. Moving forward, you do have the Findel's Spring Tunic, the aforementioned Refraction bolters, and a full Null Rune suite, 4 Null Rune for AB4. Let's take a quick look at some of these cards and what they're doing. Hit and Run is a card that you might be familiar with, but it wasn't until Kasai that you might have realized that there is other text on it than give your next weapon attack go again. It also says that if you've attacked with a weapon this turn, your next attack this turn gets +1, 2, or 3, respectively, on its pitch. Now, Kasai takes advantage of these quite nicely, and Dawnblade, Resplendent, and Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy do very much the same thing. These serve dual purposes. If you don't have another go again in your hand, you can throw down a Hit and Run. If you do, you can now break the combat chain and use your next action point to start buffing your second attack, and you'll see that as a pretty common theme here as we move forward. Next up, we have Slice and Dice. We run both the red and blue versions of it. The red in particular, if it's your first weapon attack this turn, it gets +1. And for the red one, if this is your second weapon attack this turn, it gets +3. The blue is +1. Important to note, right, as we saw in Kasai, that Slice and Dice is a non-attack action you can play at the beginning of your turn, and it affects both your first and second weapon attacks. It does not have to pick either or. So you can leave that out there, and your next 2 weapon attacks get buffed. Now, if you give Dawnblade Go Again, now you're able to give it +1 and then +3 on the second attack. Next up, we have Second Swing. This actually comes in the Classic Battles deck, and we're keeping it in our optimized Blitz version as well. It says if you've attacked with a weapon this turn, your next weapon attack gets +4. +4 is huge. You're going to see a lot of this. We're going to be attacking a lot the first time, giving it Go Again, and then really pumping up that second attack. Next up, we have Push Forward. We're running both the reds and blues. Push Forward is a great finisher. The red says your next weapon attack gets +3. The blue is +1. Both of them say that if you've attacked with a weapon this turn, your next attack this turn gains Dominate. Both the blue and the red can be game winners when played. Next up, we have the classic Overpower. Red with Reprise gives it +6. The blue with Reprise gives it +4. And as the old adage says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So giving it +6 in the reaction phase is always good, and we'll keep it in here. Next up is In the Swing. In the Swing, sometimes finding it hard to find a home lately, both in Kasai and Dorinthea, I think fits perfectly in Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy. It says if you've attacked with, you can only play this if you've attacked with your weapon 2 or more times this turn, but your target weapon attack gains +3. It's a 0-cost red block 3, as all just about all these cards are block 3. But the 0-cost +3 attack reaction with the condition of the second attack, sometimes hard to come by until now. Next up, we have Steelblade Supremacy. The classic is still great. Dorinthea Specialization, Majestic, cost 1. Says until end of turn, your weapon attacks get +2, and whenever this weapon hits, draw a card. Now, as I stated, we're working very hard to buff our attacks, both the first and the second attack. So Steelblade Supremacy helps both of that, and with the ease in which we can swing twice, Steelblade is twice as dangerous. Classic Dawnblade. Defense is to overblock the Steelblade Supremacy first attack so that you can't attack with it at additional time, and no such luxury here with the Dawnblade Resplendent. Next up, we have Spoils of War. Spoils of War reads your next weapon attack this turn gets +2 and Go Again. Whenever a weapon you control hits this turn, create 2 copper token. First of all, straight up, do not care about the copper token. That's all right. What this basically says is +2 Go Again. You can attack an additional time with your weapon. Can't beat it. Next up, we are running Red Warrior's Valor. We're not running the yellows or blues. Warrior's Valor is a 1-cost non-attack action that reads the next weapon attack this turn gains +3, and if this hits, the attack gains Go Again. Go Again. We're running less of the Warrior's Valors in this deck because of the conditional Go Again. We have so many surefire ways to make sure that we can keep hitting with our weapon. It's not worth a liability for the classic overblock to prevent that from happening. As I've stated, we're running late on attack reactions, so we just want to have a tall first attack with Go Again and not worry about whether or not I'll be able to swing a second time. All right, next up we have a red Stroke of Forsake. Next weapon attack gains +3. Reprise if the defending player is defended with a card from hand. This chain link, you draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top or bottom of your deck. Stroke of Foresight is a great card in Dorinthea, and no different here. Late game especially gives you the option to really filter your hand and can be a game winner. So we're keeping a one-off in there because it is still so powerful. Stroke of Foresight is a one-off in this deck. It is a 1-cost attack, warrior attack reaction. Targeted weapon attack gains +3. Its reprise effect says you can draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. Stroke of Foresight can win games by drawing into the next clutch thing, being able to put something else back into your hand, filtering it, and making sure that your hand is extra lethal. Now we have the new shiny Glistening Steel Blade. Another Dorinthea specialization. Your next Dawnblade attack gains Go Again, and with Dawnblade Resplendent, of course, that means you can attack an additional time. Whenever a Dawnblade hits a hero this turn, put a +1 counter on it. And one of the best ways to ensure that counters get on to your Dawnblade is the next card here. Ironsong Determination is super rare. Target weapon gets +1 and Dominate until end of turn. Go Again. Dominate's a very powerful effect, especially when you combine it with all these buffs coming. You can come in with a very tall Dawnblade Resplendent with your first attack, limit them to 1 card and armor or a defense reaction from Arsenal, and then be able to attack a second time, most of the time, and most of the time that second attack is even bigger than the first, and putting Dominate on that can be backbreaking. So we have Ironsong Determination in there, and Push Forward, that we have 6 cards that give your weapon attack Dominate on the second swing. Next up we have Run Through. A great addition to Dawnblade Resplendent. As an attack reaction, you can give your next attack Go Again, and your next weapon attack gets +2. So we talked about this. It does the same thing in this as it does as Blade Runner does in Kasai. Ensures a second attack and buffs it. On a Knife Edge, the generic attack, non-attack action that gives your next weapon attack Go Again. Very straightforward. On a Knife's Edge can probably be kind of a flex piece here. It's guaranteed Go Again, but you can put in, if you want to put in more Warrior's Valors, that's fine, or a couple more attack reactions of your choice. You can put that in as well. We do have a lot, I feel like a sufficient amount of Go Again in this deck, so you can definitely try it out and see if it works for you. We'll come back around to Steelblade Shunt. We're running 2 Steelblade Shunts, mostly for the blue pitch, but a 4 defense reaction is always a good thing, and especially one that can deal 1 point of damage. Last but not least, on the other side of the weapon, we have Glint the Quicksilver. Attack reaction, target weapon gains Go Again, and Reprise is draw a card. Right? So if they block from hand on the Go Again, you get a card draw. Trademark Dorinthea card, and stays put in Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy. Now, for counting, that is 18 sources of Go Again, only 2 of which are conditional in the Warrior's Valors. That's 16 unconditional instances of Go Again. The general strategy here is to drop down a non-attack action that gives Go Again, or if you're holding a reaction in your hand, then throwing down the non-attack actions that really buff your attacks. We're looking to get something like a Spoils of War and or a Slice and Dice out on the field first. Be able to swing with the Dawnblade Resplendent for an awkward number to block, a 5 or a 7, something along those lines where the breakpoints matter and they are forced to use cards and armor to do so. If it doesn't have Go Again, we want to be able to react and give it Go Again, ensuring the second swing, or ensuring the second weapon attack, and that's where a lot of your cards will really shine the most. We're looking at Hit and Run, Slice and Dice, Second Swing, and Push Forward. All can buff that second attack, and it is a very key part of the strategy here to really pile on that raw damage. Right? We don't have on hit effects here, so in kind of the same vein as Levia. We're not so much concerned about leaking damage for 1 or 2 points in. We're looking to really hammer it home and get this game done as quickly as possible. And we're doing that by buffing your weapon and giving it Dominate. Now we're going to take a look at classic Dorinthea Blitz with the addition of a Glistening Steelblade. The original Dorinthea list is very, very tight. There's not a lot of room for adjustments that don't take away from its main game plan. A lot of things came from Everfest that have been kind of hit or miss. Looking at slice and dice and things like in the swing, when playing with Dorinthea, don't quite have the same impact and feels more like you're taking away from stuff more than you are benefiting from them. So in the end, it really hasn't made Everfest didn't really make that much of an impact on Dorinthea. So the list has been pretty much set in stone for quite some time. So the question becomes, how do we fit those glistening steel blades into the deck? My choice, I have elected to take out one red hit and run and one red out for blood to fit in the two glistening steel blades into the deck. Everything else is as stock as you'd expect to see in a classic Dorinthea Blitz deck. Everything from the equipment package is the exact same as Dorinthea Quicksilver Prodigy, except this time you'll main the Refraction Bolters and save the Valiant Dynamo for those longer matchups. But when talking about regular young Dorinthea, what are we doing here, right? A quick synopsis here. Dorinthea says, when a weapon you control hits, you may attack with it an additional time. Dawnblade says, if the Dawnblade hits, if it's the second time it is hit this turn, put a +1 counter on Dawnblade. At the beginning of your end step, if Dawnblade has not hit this turn, remove all +1 counters from Dawnblade. So here we go. The classic deck interaction, right, is you are going to attack with the Dawnblade. Typically, you'll buff the Dawnblade with something like a Sharpened Steel or a Spoils of War. Then you'll attack, hopefully, with something with Go Again Naturally. Drop a Hit and Run, Spoils of War, and now Glistening Steel Blade are all things that will give your weapon Go Again. So now you play the game of, can you hit so that you can attack an additional time, or do you have a Twinning Blade in your hand, right? So we're going to talk about Glistening Steel Blade in earnest when it comes to the next list that I'm going to show you here. But for those who may not be familiar with Dorinthea, I would start getting familiar with her play patterns and how to block her. She very much preys on the inexperienced, and she loves making you make the wrong decision and punishing you for it. So we keep a single route in the deck, usually try to arsenal that, and that can create the endgame winning scenario, taking a defending card from the field back into their hand, stopping them from being able to block a sufficient amount of damage. Nourishing Emptiness, of course, very good either early or late game with the Dominate. We don't have any other attack actions in the deck, so it is especially effective in Dorinthea. Can be very helpful in getting that first hand, something powerful, or again, late with the Dominate. You can come in with a sword with Go Again, have it block so you can't swing a second time, but come in with Nourishing Emptiness and still find a way to finish them off. But if you haven't given Dorinthea a shot, I very much encourage you to do so, especially in Blitz. It's a unique build. Playing with the weapon is fun, and it still hits like a Mack truck. Last but not least, let's take a look at Dorinthea Ironsong in CC after classic battles. This is the exact 80 from Flukenbox. You can see a very consistent, traditional looking Dorinthea Ironsong deck with the addition of your run-throughs and Glistening Steel Blades. Both of those are 3 of. So that is 6 total cards coming from classic battles, putting into Dorinthea, and it is pushing Dorinthea into top 8s at ProQuests right now, which is an impressive feat. Quick look around the cards. You can see that it is a 61 deck main deck, a 61 card. It is a 61 card main deck. We have 9 total pieces of equipment in the sideboard, including 3 Null Rune boots, gloves, and hood for AB3 coming in right here for the Kano matchups. Otherwise, this is a very straightforward, aggressive style deck. Time Snaps obviously coming in for For Prism, the defense reactions coming in for Starvo or Chain and other aggressive decks. For instance, Briar, I put them in for as well. But the idea is to buff your sword, give it go again, and try to get counters on. Once the counters are on, they are really hard to get off. And that brings me to Glistening Steelblade. Glistening Steelblade is so good because it forces interaction. Right? It says until end of turn, you can put a counter on the Dawnblade. That means that if you can hit twice on one turn, you get 3 total counters. 1 for each hit for the Glistening Steelblade, and then 1 more for Dawnblade turning on, which means if you get that perfect scenario where you get 3 hits, that's 4 counters total. But this is the iteration of the deck that I have been running personally, and I am enjoying it, and I wanted you guys to take a look at it as well. I do like this iteration because it is a very simple, straightforward sideboard. You know that the equipment comes in for Kano. There's only 3 cards, 3 different types of cards that might come in depending on the matchup, but otherwise this stays the same. Now, I said I would come back and talk about a card. Oh, what's this? Oh, on the knife edge. Oh, generic action. Oh, a ravenous rebel. That's an attack with go again. Say, what's going on here? What? Rosetta for 2 and 2 with go again? Bam! Damage. I think that's going to do it here for our little exploration into Dorinthea and the cards that came in Classic Battles. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Turn on the bell notifications whenever a new video comes up or an episode of our podcast. Our podcast is available in all streaming platforms. Wherever you prefer streaming your podcasts, we're there. We do have a Patreon. Click on the link below if you want to support what we're doing here at the Combat Chain. We appreciate every bit of help that you can give us. And of course, you can find us on social media. You can find the Combat Chain at the Combat Chain on Twitter. You can find myself at PatSmashGood. And you can find my co-host Adam at FomTooleryTCG. Yeah, that's going to wrap it up here. So until next week, I'm closing the Combat Chain.